picked up some BC Racing coilovers to try and save myself some money. I might end up screwing myself, but so far I got the other one apart, so I had to cut the lower collar off because it was seized, and I was hoping that once I did that it would work, but it's still stuck. So now it's sitting there with some WD-40 in it, and hopefully after it sits for a while, it'll just come free. If not, that sucks, because then I gotta buy the tube, or like the body, and then the lower part, so $150. The tube's $100, and then the body is $50. But yeah, so, and then I also have the rear ones too, so I could also try those ones as well. So, but yeah, I mean, I could literally sell the other ones and hopefully pay for these, because I got a pretty good deal for these. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna get this thing pulled apart, and then hope to God this one actually comes apart. No heater light. It's real nice and warm in here. Yeah, so we're gonna make this the start of a new video. So I have no idea what's gonna happen to this. I just picked up some coilovers for the Fiero. I'm gonna modify them. They're off of like a Subaru, so hopefully I can make them modified. I bought another set. They didn't go as planned. They're pretty seized up. I'll probably rebuild them eventually, but for now, hopefully these ones will do the trick. So yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so got these things pulled apart last night, so they actually came apart. I'll try and clean up all this stuff. I'll probably toss all this shit into the ultrasonic cleaner. This, I need to pretty much cut off every one of these brackets, so I just left with a tube, and then, yeah, and then we got to make our own brackets, because this is not wide enough for the Fieros. So we'll have to modify these. And then I've decided that I'm gonna, just for now, gonna use the stock top hats. I would like to go solid eventually, but for right now, we're going to make these ones do. So I did some measurements. This bolt is 14 millimeters, I believe. And then this shaft right here is 12. So I'm going to get a shim for between there, and then so that way it can't wiggle back and forth, and then that should be good. And then, yeah, that's kind of the gist. We won't be using the camber plates for the top, mostly because I just don't want to cut up here. Obviously, I've done it before, but I just painted this, so I really don't want to cut it up at this particular moment. It will get cut up, I'm sure. But I'll have to make my own plates, because these are not lined up like at all, and I can't modify them too, because you need this to be like that. If I put it on there like that, that's going to be like camber and caster, which we don't need or want. So I'm not a aero scientist, blah blah blah. So I don't know enough about that to what that would be changing, so I don't want to play with it. Plus, you don't want to be changing two things at once. That's kind of limits your adjustability. So, because maybe you want more camber, but you don't want more caster, and then now you have to have trade-offs, and that's never good. So, but yeah, so let's go ahead and get these ground down. So yeah, let's do it. All right, so as you can tell, this is what Fiero owners have been doing forever. This is just the way it's been. Man, look at that. Thing's been rubbing all up on that. So, this is what we have every time. So, if we put this on here, it's literally the thickness of the metal too short. So, yeah. So basically, we gotta cut all these off, and then I'm probably just gonna cut them off of these. Or, I think actually I'll make a cardboard template of this one, and then make the modifications and then weld it on. So we'll see. Maybe these ones will fit too. It just depends on how cobbled they get during the removal process. Which is a good bit they will be. So let's get them changed out. All right, so remember how I said I wasn't going to ruin them? Well, I did. So basically, from what I have determined, this part is all that is welded onto the coilover or the struts. So literally, if you cut the lower part off, this part comes off, and then so now still got to clean this, and then this will go on there. I'll have to trim it down so that way I can get it to sit flush because it has a gap. But yeah. But if you keep that flat, then that literally doesn't change any of the, it takes all the guesswork out of it. So, sick. So, let's keep on going, but we gotta go make a trip to the Baraboo's. All right, so I modified the top hat for this. So now this is solid mounted actually. So I opted to do solid mount. So it's actually pretty simple. I will go over that in the future here. But right now I'm gonna finally get around to, the thing that I've been saying I'm gonna do. So let's get this thing chopped up. Alright, so we got coilovers on this side. So wheel gap is still a hand. Yeah, so right about the same, but that one dampens way more. This one's like kind of springy. That one just does coilover things, so it's pretty good. I'll have to obviously do an alignment still because that's always the fun part. I hate doing that, so. But, yeah. There's coilovers in there. Hell yeah. See if we turn on the flash. Oh, yeah. So, sick. So, now, the fun part. Doing it all over. And then, so obviously, we still have, so we can do all the way hard or all the way soft. I just haven't set all the way hard for now. Just because if it was too soft, we could, in theory, blow into this. So, but yeah, hell yeah. And it cost me $0 other than obviously buying coilovers. I bought this set of coilovers used for 60 bucks. I believe they were off like a 2014 Subaru WRX. So, yeah. So that's pretty dope. I'll try and probably find one and maybe put a link in the description for a set that would be like this. If you can. So basically, if you want to do this, you're going to need to be able to weld, and that's kind of about it. I mean, and the drill. I mean, you need basic tools, but yeah, sick. All right, let's do this all over again. All right, so you might be asking yourself, why is this not okay? All right, so there is. So this obviously the vehicle's lifted up in the air, and there is no preload, and there's no way to put preload on. If you want, so you can either have preload or ride height. So if you want it lowered, you can't. So basically you need to have preload so that way it doesn't sag. So like right here, the whole coilover is holding up all my suspension. Whereas if you look over here, it's drooping. Over here, level. So that means it's set to red height. I also have I don't know how you actually depict what you actually have, but I have 8-inch of preload on this one. So basically I measured from the top of the top hat to the bottom of the first collar. That was 8 inches. So that's what I set it to, so that way I can do it on the same on the other side. Now, it is quite a bit of preload. Like, it literally doesn't move at all. Like, once you set it down, that's the ride height. So, but yeah. So, I guess it lowers about 2 inches. So, but yeah. All right, enough explanation, and let's do it over again. I'm super excited. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time on the car, and hopefully this will make it handle much better, and it's a lot more tunable. So let's do this. Alright, so to really show what this is, so it's just a sleeve that's been placed over the stock shock that you have to grind off the, let's see, this tube probably shows it. So yeah, you'd have to grind off the old shock perch, and then you slide the sleeve over in like that. That's how it's always been done. So what I've done is cut like, there's this line, cut like right here, cut right here, and then you gotta cut like an angle right here because it's welded right there. So, but yeah, so let's go ahead and tear this one down, and then for the top hat, for what I did for that one is I take a hole saw and cut this bushing out, and then you go ahead and drill it and all that stuff. I'll show you when we get there, but yeah, so I use pretty much everything from the coilovers on here. So all right, let's get into tearing this thing down real quick, and then cut this thing up, and then obviously we gotta do the cleanup on this one again. Got to cut off all that stuff. So yeah, and then so here's the top one, and that used to be bolted right here on normal coilovers. So I went ahead and pretty much just cut out that center of that one, and then drill out the holes for these, bolt it in, done. And then I also, because this thing has studs, so I went ahead and popped the studs out, and then, well, you can't see them, but I welded that, or they pounded in, but to make sure they didn't go anywhere, I just threw tack welds on them. So, all right, that's the rundown. Let's get into the hyperlapse. Real quick, this is what it looked like. It's got a 7-inch sleeve, 2.5-inch ID, and it just slides right over. And yeah. But that'll get you low, but not exactly low with performance. So now let's cut it up. Alright, so once you have it all cleaned up, put this bad boy on there. So on the other side, I just measured 1 inch from top of there to the top of this, because this is an uncut piece, so it gives you a nice point of reference that'll be the same. So now just gonna run a bead up the side, a little tack across, like a 1-inch bead right here, and then weld whatever I can at the bottom, and then it should be good. Be careful not to get shit in the threads, and also be careful when you are up in the, it's not threaded all the way, it's like threaded to like about here, so you just gotta, or about here, so you just gotta be careful not to blow through or ruin the threads, or if you go too hot, it could ruin the threads on the other side, so just keep that in mind. So, but yeah, so make sure it's flat here and flat here, give her a weld. All right, so got this thing all welded up. Do a little bit in there too. Plug welded the bottom one, down just a tack. So we'll let that cool. Now we're gonna take this and so put it in this little vise here, and then we need 1 second. All right, and then we're going to use a 2-inch. So put this on there. We'll use a 2-inch. Raise this thing up. Then you're going to want to get this thing as close to center as you can. Obviously you can't get it perfect because there's no, the center hole won't be able to do it, but so get that drilled out, and then we'll move on to the next step. So let's drill this out with a 2-inch hole saw. All right, so once you drill out that bit there, we're gonna go ahead and flap disc the raised side. So as you can tell, it goes divots. So the raised side, we got our flap disc this flat with that. So let's get that flap disc. All right, so the bolts got to go on this side in the recessed area, just so that way it gives you a room when it's up against the shock tower. Because it'd be, this is the top side, this is the bottom side. So what you're gonna do is line this up as best you can. So these two are closer, and then that one is that. So this is the one that points toward the engine bay. So I like to put the holes kind of direct with that. So in case you ever wanted to adjust the camber with this, eventually I'll make a new plate and we'll make it so it's, you can adjust the camber doing this. So, but for now, let's get these holes drilled. So I'm just going to take a drill bit that is close to those thread size, and just real quick, you'll just so you get it centered, and then you just now you got your spots that you need to drill those out, and then you can bolt it in. So it's time. All right, there it is, a top plate. So I just got to bolt it in. I accidentally drilled a hole in the wrong spot. Don't mind that. Yeah, so, and then now it's got studs on this, so that way it eliminates having to have this piece sandwiched between, which is nice. And all I did was use studs that were with that. So. All right. So now let's assemble this. All right. So let's assemble. Widescreen. Alright, so I got some brake clean, just because there's shit everywhere. It's from so, this one first. Load on there. There we go, she's got some adjustability. Alright, now we're going to set our preload up. So on the other one, I had 8 inches from the top to there. So looks like, let's see what she is when she gets. Alright, so she's snugged up a good bit. We're at like 8 3/8. Unfortunately, I see this. See how it is, so we just need to do whatever we get in there, you know? I think that's one of these. Don't say that you just don't pick it up, I think. Alright, 8 inches. Alright, so now I'm going to take my lock ring. Alright, and then flat side up. In theory, could have put this one on right away. It's also worth noting, I have no idea if that's the correct way to set preload. That's just what I'm doing. Putting a bunch on it should increase the spring rate. At least that is my understanding. Alright. We'll knock our collar together. Alright. Put this collar on. Put that down. Anti-seize on. So that way as we slide the main hoop on, it will spread. Slapped a quick little black paint job on it, just because. Now once I know that these are no issues, I'll go in and powder coat them and all that good stuff, but for now, we need to prove concept. Alright. Boom. A fiero coilover. The real deal. Too freaking easy. We got adjustability. And it bolts right in. What more do you want? So, got preload, and we have lowering. Too easy. All right, so it's awesome. It's now spring. It's funny to believe that the beginning of the video when I'm in the Honda, that was literally like 6 days ago, something like that. I don't remember what day I picked those up, but yeah, we're already in like the 50s now. So, all right, so I got to take the fiero out yesterday. It was like 60 something yesterday. So had a little pop-up meet on Wednesday. So yeah, this thing is, I love them. They're great. I have them all the way hard right now, and they feel freaking great. So much better than the last one. I feel very planted. Did a quick eyeball alignment. She's good to go. So yeah, I guess at this point, you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this video. I tried to be as thorough as possible, but I'm not a great teacher. So, because I'm always just learning as I go anyhow. So, yeah, you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one.